Right now, without you feeling a single thing, you are moving. The ground beneath your feet is spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, carrying you through space at a speed faster than any bullet ever fired. You do not notice it because everything around you, the air, the oceans, the buildings, is spinning right along with you at exactly the same rate. Now imagine that motion simply stopped, not slowing down gradually over millions of years the way it actually happens in real life, but stopping completely, all at once right now. What would actually happen to you, and to every living thing on the planet, in the seconds, hours, and years that followed? Start with the very first instant, because this is where the true danger lies. Everything on Earth's surface, including you, the atmosphere, and the oceans, is currently moving at that same blistering rotational speed. If the solid ground beneath you suddenly stopped while everything else retained its momentum, the laws of physics would not allow for a gentle transition. You, along with every other object not bolted deeply into bedrock, would continue moving at that original speed, which means you would be violently flung sideways at speeds comparable to the fastest hurricanes ever recorded, except everywhere on the planet at once, all in a single catastrophic instant. The atmosphere itself would become the deadliest part of this scenario. Air does not attach itself to the ground the way solid objects do. So if Earth's rotation stopped instantly, the atmosphere would keep moving at its original rotational speed for a significant period afterward, creating winds strong enough to flatten forests, level buildings, and scour the surface of the planet in ways similar to the most powerful tornadoes and hurricanes combined, except sustained continuously rather than in isolated storm systems. Entire cities would be scraped from the map within minutes, and any structure not specifically engineered to withstand forces far beyond anything in recorded history would be destroyed almost instantly. The oceans would behave in an equally devastating way. Water, like air, is a fluid that does not instantly match the sudden stop of the solid ground beneath it, meaning the entire volume of Earth's oceans would essentially keep moving forward due to inertia, creating catastrophic mega-tsunamis that would surge across continents, reaching heights and speeds that dwarf any tsunami in recorded human history. Coastal cities around the world would be wiped away almost immediately, and the sheer volume of water displaced by this event would reshape coastlines permanently, carving new inland seas in low-lying regions and completely redrawing the map of the world within a matter of hours. Now assume, for the sake of exploring the longer-term consequences, that Earth somehow survived this initial catastrophic transition and settled into a completely stationary state, no longer spinning at all. The very next thing you would need to reckon with is what happens to your concept of day and night. Currently, Earth's rotation is what creates the 24-hour cycle you have built your entire life around, with the planet completing one full spin relative to the sun approximately every day. If Earth stopped rotating entirely, one side of the planet would face the sun continuously, while the other side would remain in permanent darkness, with only a narrow twilight zone along the boundary between the two hemispheres experiencing anything resembling a normal cycle of light and dark. This permanent split between day and night would create two extreme, almost uninhabitable climate zones. The side of Earth constantly facing the sun would heat up dramatically over time, since it would receive non-stop solar radiation without ever cooling down during a nighttime period. Temperatures in this permanently sunlit hemisphere could eventually climb high enough to make most current forms of life unsustainable across large portions of the land, especially in regions near the point directly facing the sun, where temperatures could potentially exceed anything experienced anywhere on Earth today. Meanwhile, the side of the planet locked in permanent darkness would experience the opposite extreme, plunging into increasingly severe cold as it lost the ability to receive any direct sunlight at all, eventually reaching temperatures more similar to what you would expect on the dark side of the moon than anything found in Earth's current climate. Between these two extremes, a relatively narrow band of habitable territory would exist along what is called the Terminator Line, the boundary zone between permanent day and permanent night, where temperatures would remain moderate enough to potentially support life. If humanity somehow survived the initial catastrophic transition, most surviving populations would likely need to relocate to this narrow twilight band in order to find livable conditions, essentially concentrating what remained of civilization into a thin ring wrapping around the planet rather than the widely distributed pattern of settlement you see today. You should also consider what would happen to Earth's magnetic field in this scenario, since this detail matters far more than most people realize. Earth's rotation plays a significant role in generating the planet's magnetic field through a process called the geodynamo effect, which relies on the movement of molten iron in Earth's outer core. While the core's motion is somewhat independent of the surface rotation, over a long enough timeline, the loss of overall rotational influence could weaken Earth's magnetic field significantly. This matters enormously because the magnetic field is what protects the surface of the planet from harmful solar radiation and cosmic rays. A weakened magnetic field would leave Earth's atmosphere far more vulnerable to being gradually stripped away by solar wind, a slow but serious process that could, over extremely long timescales, threaten the very atmosphere that makes the planet breathable in the first place. There is also the question of what a non-spinning Earth would look like physically, because your planet is not actually a perfect sphere. Earth currently bulges slightly at the equator and is slightly flattened at the poles, a shape caused directly by the outward force generated by rotation. Without that spinning motion, gravity would gradually pull the planet back into a more perfectly spherical shape over an extremely long period of time. This shift would not happen instantly, but over millions of years, Earth's overall shape would slowly change, and this transformation would come with additional, extremely gradual shifts in sea level and land distribution as the planet settled into its new, rounder form. Ocean currents would also be dramatically altered in a world without rotation, and this matters far more than most people initially assume. Right now, the rotation of Earth is directly responsible for a phenomenon called the Coriolis effect, which influences the direction ocean currents and wind patterns flow across the planet. Without rotation, the Coriolis effect would disappear entirely, fundamentally changing how heat gets distributed across the globe through ocean currents. Many of the ocean currents that currently help regulate regional climates by transporting warm and cold water around the planet would cease to function the way they do today, likely resulting in even more extreme and unpredictable temperature differences between regions than the permanent day and night split alone would already create. You might also wonder what this scenario would mean for your own body and daily biological rhythms. Human beings, along with nearly every living organism on the planet, have evolved internal biological clocks known as circadian rhythms, finely tuned over millions of years to the reliable 24-hour cycle of light and darkness created by Earth's rotation. In a world with permanent daylight or permanent darkness, depending on where you happen to be located, your body's natural sleep and wake cycles would be thrown into complete disarray, and evidence from real-world studies of people living in polar regions with extended periods of continuous daylight or darkness suggests this kind of disruption can cause significant physical and psychological strain over time, ranging from severe sleep disorders to serious mental health challenges. If you zoom out far enough and imagine a version of this scenario where the transition happened gradually over millions of years rather than instantly, many of the most violently destructive elements, like the mega tsunamis and hurricane-force winds, would be avoided entirely, since living things and ecosystems would have time to adapt incrementally as rotation slowly decreased. Interestingly, this gradual slowing is actually happening in real life right now, though at an almost imperceptibly slow pace. Earth's rotation is currently slowing down very slightly due to tidal friction caused by the Moon's gravitational pull, adding roughly 1 to 2 milliseconds to the length of a day every century. At this current rate, it would take many billions of years for Earth's rotation to slow down to anything resembling a complete stop, a timeline so long that the Sun itself would likely have already evolved into a red giant and dramatically altered the entire solar system long before Earth's rotation could ever naturally reach zero. What makes this thought experiment so compelling is how it reveals just how much of your everyday life depends on a force you never actually feel or notice. The simple, continuous spinning motion of the planet beneath your feet is responsible for your day and night cycle, your climate patterns, your ocean currents, and even the protective magnetic field shielding you from dangerous cosmic radiation. Remove that spinning motion, even hypothetically, and nearly every system that currently makes Earth a livable, balanced planet would be thrown into complete chaos, proving that one of the most powerful forces shaping your entire existence is something so constant and so seamless that you have likely never given it a single conscious thought in your entire life.